Hello, it's the end of 2022 and what a year of weather it's been. The extreme heat of the summer and then that cold spell at the beginning of December. And speaking of temperature contrasts, a significant temperature contrast across the country as we start off New Year's Eve. Cold air there in place across Scotland, parts of Northern England and Northern Ireland, and much milder conditions at dawn for southern parts with a strong southwesterly breeze. 13 Celsius in Bournemouth, below freezing for some parts of Scotland. And that means there'll be some ice issues to deal with first thing on Saturday, especially for the northern Scotland, where there'll be further showers of rain and sleet at lower levels, snow over the hills and icy patches to watch out for. Clearer spells, though, for central Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland and further south, a few breaks in the cloud. But in between, with that temperature contrast, we've got a band of rain. So some damp weather about North Wales, Northern England, Southern Scotland first thing, a few flakes of snow over the hills. That moves away. Then the next batch of wet and windy weather moves up from the south. It's certainly going to be a soggy day for much of England and Wales, the rain on and off. Heavy at times for South Wales, southern parts of England could cause some issues with surface water about a yellow rain warning in force. 13 or 14 Celsius though, despite that wind and rain in the south. It stays cold further north, although brighter skies are expected for northern Scotland with temperatures in the low to mid single figures and just a few wintry showers around coasts. And the clearest skies as we start off New Year's Eve evening are expected across northern Scotland. It's going to be crisp but cold here, and actually it looks like it's going to stay fine in the north of Scotland as the clock approaches midnight. So for Hogmanay, well, north of the Central Belt is the place to be. But for the Central Belt itself, it's touch and go whether the rain will reach here by midnight. So for Edinburgh's Hogmanay celebrations, could be a few outbreaks of rain starting to appear by midnight. But the more significant stuff is further south into southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England as well. That's the wettest place. A few flakes of snow over the Pennines. Some showers into North Wales, but after a fairly damp start to the evening in the south of the UK, it's turning more showery by this stage. Certainly some breaks in the cloud and drier weather for a time. But there will be further showers coming along. The wind's picking up strength as we go through the night, especially towards the southwest with gales approaching here and some heavy showers coming through during the early hours. The rain in southern Scotland pushes north into central Scotland with snow likely in places, and it's another one with significant temperature contrasts. Sub-zero in the north of Scotland, 10 or 11 Celsius in the south of England with that strong wind first thing New Year's Day. Gales around southwestern shores, and you can see why the isobars are tightly packed across the south. Low pressure centred over Northern Ireland, bringing this band of rain and snow across Scotland into Northern Ireland as well. The snow accumulating above 200 metres for central Scotland, perhaps some snow at lower levels, but the most significant accumulations, 5 centimetres or so, are expected above 200 metres. Showers for the north and west of Scotland, and further showers coming into western parts of England, Wales and the south at times as well, but some brighter spells in between. And again, we've got those temperature contrasts, 12 Celsius in the south, 3 at their highest in the north of Scotland, and just some higher clouds starting to appear in the south by the end of the day on New Year's Day. This rain here could just start to affect Kent, I think, later in the day. A little feature moving up from the continent, but much of that wet weather is likely to stay on the continent and not affect most of the UK. As that moves away, you can see the warmth over Europe, but for the UK, something a little colder for Monday. And it looks likely that for many places it'll be dry and bright, but there'll be further showers for the southwest of England, perhaps some rain clearing the far southeast for a time, further showers as well for western Scotland. But in between, sunny spells, and Monday looks like a mostly dry day away from the south and the far northwest. But it will be a bit colder for all of us. Temperatures evening out a little more, I think. Temperatures of 4 Celsius in the north, 7 to 9 further south. So that temperature contrast is starting to lessen. And that trend continues through next week. It looks likely that low pressure will continue to be in control. Those areas of low pressure moving in from the west will continue to bring spells of wind and rain, but the lows will be pushing further north. And that means that for all of the UK, our winds are coming from the west or southwest, and so average or above average temperatures are expected later next week for the whole of the UK. So no more significant temperature contrasts, but at the same time there will be spells of wind and rain interspersed by drier interludes, so fairly typical weather as we start off 2023. And whatever you're doing on New Year's Eve, I hope it's a happy one for you, and all the best for the new year.